Jon Allen is a columnist with Roll Call. He's in our Washington bureau. Good to see you, Jon.
Good to see you, Vlad.
So let's talk about this. Trump says it's not the time to start changing. Clearly, 14 million Americans like him just the way he is. But it seems that we have seen some subtle shifts in his campaign style. Do you agree?
Well, I think yesterday we saw a big shift in the economic speech he gave in Detroit, trying to assuage the fears of Republicans who worry that he can't go off script without creating a huge problem for himself. I think he assured anti-tax Republicans that he'll want to lower taxes. So we saw a little bit of a change there, but we've seen that before, and usually it leads invariably to another meltdown from Trump.
Jon, let me ask you about Susan Collins of Maine, one of the latest in a series of prominent Republicans to say that she will not vote for Donald Trump, and the numbers are growing every day. So do these actually matter?
I think they do, Vlad, and there are a number of schools of thought on this. I personally have not seen the number and caliber of people distancing themselves from the Republican nominee, from the party's nominee for either party in a presidential election in my lifetime. I mean, you can remember Colin Powell endorsing Barack Obama and saying that was a huge moment in the 2008 campaign. But we're talking about 50 Republican national security professionals who came out in a letter yesterday against Trump. Some of the members of President George W. Bush's war cabinet, Homeland Security secretaries, the CIA director, director of national intelligence. These are not small bore people, and they're not coming out one at a time. We're talking about large numbers of Republicans saying Donald Trump is unfit for the presidency, and that's not happened in my lifetime. I think we're seeing a major moment in politics right now.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Jon, about these folks that are coming out and saying that they are not going to vote for Donald Trump, that they have serious reservations, is that not all of them are politicians. In other words, and I think that's kind of interesting for our viewers to point out, that there have been a lot of questions about why, for example, John McCain doesn't withdraw his endorsement of Donald Trump, why Paul Ryan, although he gives lukewarm endorsement of Trump, he has said in the past that some of the things that Donald Trump has said are racist. And that is because some of these folks have a lot to lose if they do that, whereas these other folks that are diplomats, that are national security advisors, that are not within politics, don't have a lot to lose. As Michael Morell told Charlie Rose, he said that at one point people were afraid to say something. Now people are afraid that they're afraid of not saying something.
Right. The closer you are to the electorate, as James Hohmann of the Washington Post pointed out this morning in a good piece, the closer you are to the electorate as a Republican, the less likely you are to distance yourself from the candidate who just won the nomination running away. You put yourself in a perilous position by doing that. You create more friction than exists already between the Trump and anti-Trump forces when you do that. So there's no real percentage for most of these candidates in distancing themselves. Susan Collins is not in a position where she's going to lose an election this time around. All of these foreign policy graybeards, as it were, they're not on a ballot. And in fact, some of them may find themselves getting offers to be in a Clinton administration if there is one, or certainly having access to a Clinton administration down the road. So, as they have their own private consultancies. So there's some reason for them to do this. There's some incentive, but it's much easier to stick with your party.
There are reports that the Trump campaign had hoped to be competitive in Maine. That goes out the window now?
Oh, I don't think that goes out the window necessarily. I expect that Hillary Clinton will win Maine. It's a state that leans Democratic in presidential elections, but I don't think Susan Collins is necessarily swaying a whole lot of voters there.
Let me ask you about this. Hillary Clinton basically challenged Donald Trump last night to show up for the presidential debates, saying that she'd accepted an invitation to those debates, but there's a lot of buzz today that Donald Trump may skip them. In a campaign where we've been saying over and over again, this is unprecedented. I mean, this really is unprecedented.
Well, look, I mean, if you're losing by double digits, and some of the polls show Donald Trump losing by double digits, one of the few ways that you can right your ship is to get into a debate and prove that you can hold your own against the other candidate, or even get one up on the other candidate. So it would be an unbelievably odd decision to be down and to not try to use a debate as an opportunity to shift the dynamics of the race. My guess is that people will get in Donald Trump's ear and let him know that that's not a sustainable position.
And what about Hillary Clinton's strategy here, dropping the gauntlet on the debates while we're all talking about this, while she has a very wide lead? What do you make of that strategy?
She's on offense on all fronts right now. If you talk about Donald Trump's temperament and seeing all of these Republicans come out against him, if you talk about his taxes, she's been challenging him to release his taxes. He won't do that. Now she challenges him to agree to the debates. All of this is aimed at suggesting that Donald Trump is not only not ready to be president, but unwilling to do the things that are required of presidential candidates to prove themselves to the public. So, it's kind of win-win for her to get out there and call for him to do the debates. He's likely to do them anyway, and now she's the one sort of guiding that debate, that discussion over the debates.
Jon Allen from Roll Call. Always good to have you on, my friend. Thank you.
My pleasure, Vlad.